Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the vExit podcast. This is Sirish Raghuram from Platform 9, co-founder and chief growth officer of Platform 9. And I'm pleased to kick off the series from Platform 9 with an introduction of a very special person, a very important partner of ours at Platform 9. Justin Fox joins us. He's dialing in from Greenville, supposed to be one of America's best new cities or small cities that are growing and in national importance. He's dialing in from South Carolina. So, Justin, welcome to this program. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Sirish. Happy to be here.
So, Justin, Valor C3, tell us a little bit about yourself and Valor C3. You're based out of Utah, headquartered in Utah, and you're serving an increasingly important growing customer base, and the organization's growing. So, tell us about yourself and Valor C3.
Yeah, so we're based out of Utah, like you said, a data center provider. We Valor C3, the 3C stands for co-location, cloud, and connectivity. The three essential pillars of enterprise, data and workloads that we believe. We're currently focused and have 4 sites across the United States, from Oklahoma City to Utah, and St. George, up in Boise, where we have our 3rd data center, but also are building our 4th, which should be online in the next little bit. So we believe we're building the best data center in Idaho there, as the newest one. So looking forward to expanding beyond those markets into other parts of the country.
And how's the business been growing over time? And what did the VMware Cloud Service Provider program mean to you as the business has grown over the years?
Yeah, over the years, the cloud pillar has continued to grow for us with Veeam and VMware, and we've seen good success there. It was a critical piece of our business. It's one of our pillars. So we've always viewed it that way. Our core tenancy is co-location and data center and facility operations, but the cloud is an essential part of that story for enterprise and enterprise workloads. And so having that solution is a critical component for what we're doing and our growth strategy.
I've come to learn more about the program, about the service provider market, Justin. It looks like Veeam comes up a lot in the service provider space, even more so than they do. Obviously, they have a massive customer base and install base, but it looks like they're especially very widely used in the service provider community. Is there a reason why? Is it just when they happen to be first to market with a best-in-class virtualization integration with VMware?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Veeam was very successful early, getting into and creating a service provider friendly program. I think that was one of the big tenets of Veeam's success, and VMware as well, right? VMware did the same thing with their cloud provider program. And I think those two organizations are good examples of how you can build a very solid service provider friendly program that can lead to exponential growth. And we saw that out of VMware's cloud program as well as Veeam's program. So they are central. They're obviously Veeam and VMware both are enormous brands, and they are essential, very wide install base across all segments, small, mid-market, and enterprise.
Can I ask you, Justin, to just wear your thinking hat and tell me, if the old VMware Cloud Service Provider program did not exist, would Valor C3 exist? Would the business look very different from what it does today?
That's a great question. Valor C3 would definitely still exist because, again, the data center side of the business, that co-location and the connectivity side of the business are 2 of the 3 C's, right? What would the cloud look like without a VMware cloud provider program? That's a very good question. I'm not sure I have a great answer there. I would like to think that it would still be there because the workloads still need a place to run somewhere for enterprises and businesses. If VMware hadn't come up with that, I think someone else would have filled that void. Be it a OpenStack, be it a Nutanix, or someone like that would have filled that void that VMware would have left had they not done that, or maybe even Microsoft for that matter with their solutions. So.
But it's safe to say that the cloud operations, right? The ability to operate this as a cloud is integral to how you deliver your services to your customers. So in that context, with that background, Justin, how did the changes to the VCSP program that Broadcom announced about a year ago, how did those changes affect you? What would the implications of those changes be to organizations like you and to Valor C3 in particular?
Yeah, they were very disruptive. Early on after the initial acquisition, there was a lot of nervousness, some stress, right? Because Broadcom was changing things. Who was going to make the new program? What's the future look like? They settled in that first year of what that was going to look like, and we continued to be part of that, which was great. So we continued to develop and invest in that cloud platform, but all the while we kind of had that feeling of we should probably know what our options are just in case, because we sort of felt the likelihood that Broadcom would be disruptive 2 years in a row like they were, wouldn't the likelihood was lower than the reality, I guess. So we started looking. We started what's out there, what's maturing, what has matured, what would be our options to maintain that pillar of our business. And that's actually where and how we found Platform Nine. We just through some of your marketing, we saw some of the hands-on labs. Our cloud technical team joined them and participated to put our hands on it, to see if it would be a viable option, due to the story that you all have with your brand and with your private cloud director solution. So that's how what it meant for us. But it was very disruptive from the get-go with Broadcom, because it created lots of stress, a lot of uneasiness, uncertainty, very difficult to forecast and plan, because it was always, well, what's going to happen next year, or when's the next significant change going to come that so we're almost kind of waiting for something to happen. We knew it was, but we had to keep charging forward, which is a difficult way to operate your business. And so, a lot of times we want to figure out ways to have that stability, that reliability. And so it's somewhat of a blessing and a curse, right? The blessing is that it's clear now what our future is with the way that the program changed, and so we're charging down that path, with the new solution with you guys that we believe is going to really provide our customers, and both existing and future, with a great product.
Justin, well, firstly, thank you for your partnership and for selecting Platform 9. We're very grateful. Um, I I want to just dig in on something that is near and dear to my heart, Justin, is, in leadership, you're obviously leading product and operations at Valor C3. You're often faced with difficult circumstances, right? So tell me a little bit about how did you deal with that personally? And you know, I'm sure you have stakeholders to answer to who are asking you to figure this out and tell me what does this mean, and tell me how you're going to navigate it, and what strategic alternatives, what are your risk mitigation measures, etc. So it must not have been easy, Justin, for you. And there was a lot of uncertainty and chaos, right? Like there was this initial feeling of, well, how bad is this going to be? There was the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And there was a lack of clarity on exactly what the changes would be. And for a while, there was a little bit of a quiet period where there wasn't really a lot of change. But then slowly, there was a drumbeat of changes leading to the big announcement, I think, middle of last year, late Q3 of last year, around the changes to the program. When that was when it must have been quite a definitive moment of clarity for you. So talk to us a little bit about the leader in you. How did you navigate all that chaos and uncertainty and stress?
Yeah, so I look at this as an opportunity, right? There's a part of me where sure it would have been great to have made the cut and continue on with VMware and Broadcom, but in everything there's an opportunity. In every disruption, there's an opportunity for us to do something different. And for years, I believe, looking back in hindsight, the VMware ecosystem created some complacency, I believe, amongst the IT community, because VMware was the leader for so long and everyone was comfortable. It was kind of an old mantra. that I've heard years ago, nobody gets fired for buying IBM. And then there was sort of the same way with VMware. Nobody's going to get fired for choosing VMware. But what Broadcom has done is actually created opportunities within the market, which I think we have an opportunity to see some additional market share from by finding the right partner and the right solution to go to market. And one of those core tenets is flexibility or freedom or portability, however, whichever word fits the situation best or you'd like to use. I think that's critical to the go forward story. It's not about lock in. It's not about pinning yourself in a corner. It's about being flexible and coming to market with something that can be part of an enterprise's story and their journey. That journey doesn't necessarily need to be all on Valor, and I think but Valor should absolutely be part of that journey. That's the idea. I think now for years we heard about hybrid and multi-cloud, and it felt more conceptual than reality. And I think what Broadcom has done is it's really forcing enterprises to reevaluate and really seriously consider that. How do I distribute to make myself and reduce that risk, right? Risk exposure that I may have previously had with just sitting everything in, say, a Broadcom's VMware platform. Now, how can VMware may still be part of the story, but it doesn't mean that Valor C3 can't be, and our cloud can't be, and our co-location can't be, and all of our other services. So that's kind of the viewpoint we're looking at. So for me, it was opportunity, viewing it that way, rising to the challenge, and just, echoing that message to the team. Like, hey, we got a great opportunity here. Every technologist loves to kind of tinker with the new stuff, right? So, hey, we get to tinker with some new stuff here. So let's take advantage and of course, do our diligence, which we did, and we had to do it in short order, right? Because there's a definitive previously to the Broadcom announcement. It was kind of a nice to do where post Broadcom announcement we have a definitive timeline that we have to execute towards. So it brought some brevity to the situation, which was a good thing. So it's stressful for sure, but we sort of together we rise is a mantra our CEO will share with the business, and that's a mantra that we and I shared within the team as well. Right, together we're going to rise and continue this and come to market with a really good solution.
And Justin, so that moment of clarity that you had in terms of saying, okay, now it's very clear what we need to do. What were your options? Because I've only heard about this from what we've heard from other customers and conversations, but maybe you can, having been on the receiving end of that change in the program that was announced to you, what were you expected to do? What was Broadcom telling you? That are you supposed to sell your business to one of the select few large service providers that are allowed to remain in the program? What do they expect you to do? Or they said, look, we don't really care what you do. You figure it out. But this is ending for you. What were your options at that point?
Yeah, in the initial communication, it was, effectively very straightforward that the current provider program was ending, and that the new one would be invite only. And if you received an invite, you were in it. If you didn't, you didn't. From there wasn't too much direct communication of what we should do. That was more what I would call anecdotal, that we would hear either from the VM Explorer down in Vegas, where that was kind of where the messaging Broadcom was preferring that partners who did not make the cut do is they look to partner in some way with a partner who remained in the Broadcom Cloud Provider Program, but sort of some of the challenges around that was, what does that look like? How does that operate? It just, and that was something that we decided early on that it wasn't something that we were interested in. Again, cloud C3 cloud is one of our core pillars, and so we knew that we wanted to continue to go to market with cloud options and cloud solutions, and so we quickly were, well, what can we do? What are our options on the market, right? Besides Broadcom, and let's kind of try and narrow down a list to where we can get to where we have, say, call it a top three that we can go really focus on, because there are a lot of options. And so we narrowed it down to that top three and put everyone through their paces, through the battle card process, and came down to the conclusion that Platform 9 was the right choice for us.
And what were those top three choices, Justin? What did you think were the three best options that you considered carefully, if I may ask?
Yeah. So the three that we really came down to were vanilla OpenStack, going straight OpenStack, or DIY as I would call it, Apache's CloudStack, and Platform 9. The others that we considered, Hyper-V was an option. We did look at Proxmox as potential, and Nutanix, of course. They're obviously a big brand. But we narrowed it down to OpenStack, Platform 9, and then Apache CloudStack. So.
And is it because tenancy and self-service are important? What were some of those factors that drove you towards those three choices? Is it wanting tenancy and maybe the ability to work with, a distributed infrastructure of multiple sites? I'm guessing that makes it hard to use something like Proxmox. And I'd imagine the hardware flexibility of being able to work with existing hardware investments makes it hard to work with something like Nutanix. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yeah, you're spot on, for sure. We looked at all of those, considered all of those options. Reusing hardware is critical, and not only reusing the hardware, but compatibility with our stack. We use Pure Stores and Tintri today, so making sure that those, not only does the virtualization and platform like an OpenStack support those back-end storage platforms, but that those storage platforms support OpenStack. It's got to be both ways, right? So that was critical in ensuring that if Pure supported, right, Cinder and OpenStack, if Tintri supported Cinder and OpenStack. And so those were critical components for us. And then we really like the idea of that open source foundation. Again, being able to opportunity here to do something a little different. And then what led us to Platform 9 over OpenStack is OpenStack can be complicated, right? The various modules that you have to deploy, you have to have that domain expertise in those various modules. And Platform 9 really simplifies that. They bring a prescriptive deployment and architecture, which enables us faster time to market. Additionally, the multi-tenancy in the control plane is important for us as selling to enterprise. And third, and probably one of the more important ones, is there's a go-to-market partner there, right? With that's an important piece. When you're doing a cloud stack or vanilla OpenStack, you're somewhat on your own for go-to-market. We're here. We've partnered with someone who is just like we are, a business that's growing, that's capturing market share, that's eager to capture more market share. And so kind of all of that really led us to Platform 9.
Very, very good. Justin, thank you. And the ability to kind of empower customers like you, Justin, is really important to us, obviously, at Platform 9. Because one service provider like Valor C3 effectively serves hundreds, if not thousands of, end customers. So it's a way for a small company like ours to effectively scale our reach into the market. So we view that as a win-win. In fact, one of the things that I'm working on with my team is how do we effectively kind of make this more visible to, if a customer, an enterprise customer, to show up at Platform 9, how do we make sure that they're aware that they can also choose to consume Platform 9 by working with our partners like Valor C3? So stay tuned for some work we're doing in that space. Coming back to this journey, so you ran this evaluation process, you identified your top three, you decided to go with Platform 9. Were there any things that gave you pause? Were there any things any aspects where you said, oh gosh, this is going to be hard? I'm just looking for your candid feedback, right? Because I'm sure there are people who are going through this journey like you. What were those points of friction that we can do more work to kind of make it easier to make that leap of faith that you made?
Yeah, these decisions are very difficult, right? They're big decisions for the business. It's almost not quite, but almost like you're starting from the ground up. Sure, we have some cloud revenue that's sitting on our VMware cloud today, um, but there's no guarantees right around that all that revenue coming over to Platform 9. But effectively, we're building up a brand new cloud product. So that's probably the biggest challenge. And then you do have to fight a little bit of the brand sort of recognition. You do have bigger brands in the market, like say a Nutanix, right? And so, but again, we kept coming back to the opportunity we have to do something a little different than maybe what we would have done just a few short years ago, because of the rapid rate of development that we have seen in the open source community with these solutions, from what you all have done with the managed OpenStack, to what's happening in the OpenStack project on its own, to CloudStack, what's happening in that open source project. Lots of change there. Proxmox, an immense amount of change. And so it's this fragmentation that Broadcom has created, I think, is going to be a good thing for the market. And things will, I think, narrow back down a little bit, but we're going to see uh, a little more competition in the market because so many are picking different options. Some are picking CloudStack, some are picking Nutanix, some are going Proxmox. Obviously we're going Platform 9. So I think it's going to be good for the market. And the benefit of when you're running on a platform like what you guys provide, with the underpinnings of OpenStack and KVM, that's typically what's underneath Proxmox. That's typically what's underneath CloudStack. So we're creating that data portability, that data freedom, that non-lock-in. So, that is, I think, going to be an essential story to customers. Reliable, predictable, portable. Truly, your data is yours. Your workloads
Mm-hmm.
are yours, and maybe we're building solutions that are a little easier to absorb and consume, but also move in and out of. So.
Fantastic. Just in the 6 to 9 months from now, or 9 to 12 months from now, what is your aspirational goal? Where would you wish you would be with the business, with this change that you made on your virtualization and cloud stack, with Platform 9? What's your aspirational goal of what does good look like?
Yeah, so for us, good in 12 months' time, essentially the VMware cloud is going to be completely shut down, and then those workloads and those customers have migrated to our new Platform 9 cloud. Not only have we had a great success of migrating existing customers off of our VMware cloud to our Platform 9 cloud, we've had a good consistent rate of new business coming in. So that's ultimately, I think, what's going to be our success definer, is how well are we able to get to market and land and sell to new business. We have our existing customer base that obviously we want to maintain those relationships with, but new business is going to ultimately be the success measure or metric that we use for us. And so to me, we've got our data centers where we have this cloud deployed or humming along. Maybe we've expanded into different markets, would be a great criteria. And that's some of the benefit with y'all's SaaS control plane. We can easily deploy new regions and new clusters. It's not as daunting as standing up an entire new, say, VCF environment in a new data center, right? So we're a little bit more agile, a little bit more quick to deploy and meet customers' needs and meet them in markets that maybe otherwise we wouldn't be. So.
And from a pricing point of view, Justin, would the Platform 9, the fact, we think of it as we provide maybe the large building blocks that are in VCF, with a few exceptions. We obviously don't have 2 or 3 of the capabilities that VCF has, but we effectively give you that in a fully integrated SaaS control plane. But we do that at a much more attractive price point. Does that impact your profitability in any way? So we want you to win because you have a better product with Platform 9, but we're also hoping that it also contributes to your profitability because you're competing for business against other service providers, the ones that are invited to the VCSP program now by Broadcom. we'd want to beat them because we have a better product, and we'd want you to make more money because the profitability is a little bit better. Or was that not a consideration at all?
That was definitely a consideration. It wasn't the only one though. Obviously, um, there is a price incentive, um, but true open source obviously is not going to have a license cost like a VMware, or even a platform nine. But the competitive nature of the price, we believe it sits on the better product, the better value from our team. It's not a race to the bottom, right? That's not we're not racing to the bottom here. We're trying to deliver what honestly our customer feedback showed us, right? We're one of our key tenets is we're client driven. So we had lots of conversations with a number of our clients. The underlying hypervisor and technology was not a hot topic of conversation during these cloud strategy conversations with them. It was reliability, it was performance. Price did come up, but it was also the ancillary services or the related services like DRaaS, data protection. So if we're able to deliver a reliable, resilient, performant, and cost-effective cloud, I think we can win business. So
And is it your clients care predominantly about traditional workloads, Justin, or are you starting to hear talk about containers and Kubernetes and potentially AI workloads? Is that on your roadmap at all? Or what do you hear from your customers in terms of what's most important to them from a 2-year horizon?
yeah, from our current customer base, as we talk to them, Kubernetes is definitely of interest. Right? How to modernize, how to use containers more. Um, GPU and AI didn't come up as much, but it's definitely something that's on our roadmap. So it didn't necessarily come up from our customer conversations as much as Kubernetes did. So Kubernetes is probably a little higher priority for us on that roadmap. And obviously with you guys and your platform, we have that capability. And so how, we're working on how we get that to market as a fast follow to launching our core cloud product.
Fantastic. Well, we're excited about that, Justin. We obviously are very proud of our Kubernetes capability in the product, and we think it's one of the best integrated Kubernetes experiences because it's what the Google Clouds and the Amazons give you, where their Kubernetes engine, right, GKE or EKS, natively is available as a service. You can just turn it on. You can turn clusters on very easily. The control planes are managed for you, and then natively auto scale elastically on the underlying virtualization infrastructure that Google manages or Amazon manages for you in their clouds. And that's what we can do together with Valor C3's data centers. The virtualization infrastructure that you have that is managed by Private Cloud Director can be similarly consumed with an elastic cloud-like Kubernetes experience. So we think it's a very low friction, very attractive cloud-like Kubernetes experience. So we're excited to know that that's something your customers are talking about.
Yeah.
So Justin, I'll ask one final question. If there were people in the audience who are listening and who are going through the same service provider, the strategic journey that you had to go through, the difficult journey that you had to go through, what advice would you share with them?
I would say don't let fear, uncertainty, and doubt drive your decision, right? View this as an opportunity to do something new, to do something different, and solve customer problems. But look for a partner who can help you along the way. Not every organization has a significantly sized engineering team or cloud engineering team to where they can take on a true full open source option like say CloudStack. And that's where a platform 9 comes in. And that's one of the things that we saw when we were engaged with you all through the hands-on labs, through our proof of values, through the battle off process that we did, to where we truly had a good partner, to where we were kind of getting the best of both worlds. We're getting an open source foundation with your control plane that's very prescriptive, and your talent and your team's expertise that allows us to come to market with a good solution. That to me is kind of the big thing I would say. Vet your options, of course, and do your diligence, but view it as an opportunity, to really do something that maybe just a few short years ago you'd be like, no, it's too risky to do that. right? The sort of the cards have been dealt here from Broadcom, and I think those who take the opportunity and seize it are gonna capture the market, and those that don't are gonna something else is going to happen to them. Maybe they just continue to stay small. But if you want to grow, uh, take advantage of the opportunity, find a good partner like a Platform 9 that can help you and you can partner with to gain market share together.
Justin, such good advice. I mean, the gauntlet's been laid down, right? And you're saying you have to deal with the cards you've been dealt, and you might as well, use this to as an opportunity for as a catalyst to drive, innovation and move the product and the business forward. Justin, I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the podcast. It was such a pleasure. I'd love to maybe pencil down a time and in about a year's time have you come back here, and
Yeah,
we'll be able to look back and say what did we say a year ago, and how have things progressed since then. But regardless, we're really grateful for the partnership, Justin. We're very excited about the work your teams are doing. We're honored to support you, and I want to thank you for coming on today.
yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was fun, and yeah, definitely looking forward to talking in about a year, and let's see how good we did.
Fantastic. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.